Good evening. Welcome to the Tammy Talk Show. I'm so glad that you all could join us this evening. Um, we have a great show for you tonight. I want to say good evening again to my special guests that are on here to join us tonight. We have a hot topic to talk about. I'm excited about talking about this topic. I want to say thank you to Minister Gloria Gardner for coming on to talk with us on tonight. She said in her church she worked with a lot of young people, and she have a lot to say and to share with our audience concerning young people and the millennials, that what they're dealing with nowadays as to why they are not in church or they're there and they have concerns. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We also have Prophet Anthony Stewart here. He was on last week. He's coming back again to share in some more insight on his age group. We have another guest that will be coming on very soon, Sandra Statman. She will be joining us shortly. My daughter is here, Jaleesa Stewart. She will be sharing with us on tonight. So we're going to have an exciting show. We want you to just pull back and, get your chair, sit down and listen. If you have any questions, anything you want to say, just come on and we'll see you showing up. I see Elder Jamal Mitchell. He has come on to listen. Hi, how you doing, young man? I'm so glad you can join us on this evening. Glad you showed up to listen to the show. And the first question that I have tonight, I want to share in everybody having something to say, and you all just give us how you feel and what you think about some of the problems that we're dealing with on keeping the millennials in the church and keeping you all's age group in the church. I know you're not a millennial, but millennial rolled in after you, but she worked with them, so she knows.
You say she was.
Yes, but anyway, we want you to share with us on tonight. First of all, Minister Gardner, I want to start with you. What are some of your concerns that you see and you hear that the young people are dealing with concerning church?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Pastor Stewart, for having me on.
Mm-hmm.
And I really see where young people are not made to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not needed. Their gifts are not wanted.
Oh.
We can't do church the way they want to do it because that's so ungodly.
Mm-hmm.
But I see them leaving because they don't see themselves.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Even with you saying that, I've heard my son say certain little things concerning what you just said. So, Anthony, would you like to share in something that you just spoken about, how they don't see themselves in the church and they don't see that their gift is needed there?
Yes. I was saying that last week about the gifting, because I have a gift as well, and some young people have it as same gift or different gift to sing, but they're not being used because a lot of the generation before us or the one before that, because they're too busy using their gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to be trained in our gifts. Trained like they had, so they can do what they're doing. But now it's our turn to be trained, so that we can do what we do. So once their time is up, we have our space. Right now, there is no more training. There's no teaching of, okay, this is why you have those dreams, or this is why you're hearing that, or this is why you're seeing that, or this is why you need to read your words so that you can understand that this is what God is telling you to do, or God is leading you. There's none of that anymore, and I know a lot of the people that when we say this, they say, well, you can use your gift,
Mm-hmm.
But when I get there to try to use it, it's I get pushed to the back sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, I get pushed to the background. They say, well, you can do this here. I do it, and I showcase myself, and it's just me. Then I get a pushback and say, wait, you can do it later, or they don't say anything to me anymore, or don't provide this space anymore. and that's what's missing there. So a lot of people are gifted, and they can use their gift, and then once they use it, sometimes they get pushed back, or you haven't been doing enough. One, and two is you're not really saying anything, or when you say something, I don't understand it because our minds are different. Like, the generation before us, your mind was different than your parents, so they might not understand your gift and how you use it. So the same thing with us, and then the generation behind us. Because my niece, her thought process and how she gonna express herself is different than me, than how I would express it, and how her grandmother expressed it. So I just want that it be teaching, and then once you teach us, use it, so that when it's time for our turn to be up front, it won't be no gaps, or we won't be all going all over the place.
Right. And Jaleesa, what do you have to say? Have something you would like to say on it?
Okay. I guess I'll add to pretty much our voices aren't really heard. We're kind of just be here, participate in whatever we're doing, and go home, instead of just giving us the opportunity to be able to talk to our actual pastors and preachers and stuff. I noticed, like, my grandparents and my mom, they took time with people. Now nobody has time. So you come to church and you're like, all right, so this is supposed to be my safe haven. I'm supposed to come here, get refueled for my week. But when I come here, you don't see me. You don't understand I'm going through, but y'all keep picking the girl or the man that's always shouting or the lady that's always loud. But I'm the quiet one, and you overlook me, and I'm the one that's probably needs you to say something to me.
Right.
You're not saving me. You're not helping me. You're just here to preach, and you're not catching me. And that's why a lot of people don't want to stay, because it's like, you don't see me. I'm just here.
Right.
And then if I do have a gift, you wouldn't know because you don't take the time to ask me what I know how to do. So like with me, I know I teach children. So what ministry would I work in? More than likely with the children, because I can pull them in. So I teach them lessons and teach them. So it's just like, if you're having a children's church or a youth church or some kind of church, she'll probably be the one we need to put up there, because she's already an educator. So she knows how to connect with the children. We give her the material she may need or whatever, and we let her, because that's my gift.
Right.
Everybody's not a preacher. So I may be the teacher in the church. And if I can grasp the children at a young age, they'll never want to leave church. Right. So that's the thing. If we catch them now, they'll never want to leave, because with me, I was caught as a child, so that's why I go to church every Sunday. And it's not just because, but I actually like going to church. It's something that I get out of it. I go looking for something, but it's not there anymore. So that's why a lot of them are not there.
What are some of the problems you were having in the church, and some of the problems that you can identify with other young people? I myself, I know that coming up in the church, we was taught to listen, like we was talking earlier, Minister Gardner.
Yes.
We was taught to just come to church, be quiet, and don't say that. Sit here, and God will help you in a minute. If you run into any problem, just pray about it. God gonna work it out for you. But the millennials are not looking for that. They're looking for authenticity, and they want something authentic. They don't want you giving them a superficial God. They want the authentic God. So what are some of the things that we can do to cause the young people to not hurt coming to church? Because they have real issues. Even like we was talking about how they are faced with much harder problems, more problems, in your face problems, right now problems, as to some of the things that we went through don't measure up to the things that they're facing at their age. And how is the church going to identify and see that, and not miss them coming to church, and not miss them being there because we're so busy trying to sell them this God that we had as a child or a young adult coming up, but they want a God that they can touch But I mean, not touch like Thomas, but I'm talking about touch like, I want
Make it
this
real.
real to me. I want it
Yes.
real. I don't want your God as you see in him back then. I want the God that I can see right now in my situation, because I'm having some situations right now, some issues.
Well, I really think that a lot of times when people come to church, especially our young people, we look more at what they got on, how they talking, how they responding, and a lot of times they come into church hurt. They come into church wanting answers, and we are afraid to deal with the for real issues. And the issues are, they want to ask questions.
Right.
And I was told, oh, you don't question God. And I was like, okay, if I don't question God, am I supposed to ask you?
Right.
So, God said we can ask him anything.
That's right.
And we can talk about anything to God.
Yes, yes.
And there's nothing that will surprise God.
Right.
Nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Everything that's going on today went on back in the Bible day.
Mm-hmm.
Just now, it's more in the open.
Yes.
Ours was in the secret.
Yes.
We didn't talk about different stuff.
Yes.
But we have to learn, and I have to keep saying this, meet people where they are.
Yes.
You want to be a teacher? Let you teach. And I thought a lot of times the older members and some of the leadership who don't want to trust nobody.
Right.
And that's not helping the ministry.
Exactly.
Because you are the guys that are going to be able to reach your generation. For real. Not us.
Right.
Because you all can identify with what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I guess I would add, like you said, the transparency. I'm gonna add that to that, because a lot of situations that young people go through, the older generation been through it. So it's not that we want you to testify. Don't be ashamed of it, so that we know how to walk out of
Yeah,
it.
but don't cover it up.
Yeah, don't cover
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of. I'm gonna use this too. A lot of generations before us, they had children under wedlock, but like you said, your generation keep that quiet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how did you get to the point where you can serve God and not feel ashamed if you had a baby out of wedlock? Maybe you're not married yet. You have a bunch of kids. Like, how can you strengthen me? Well, if I was a woman, strengthen me and say, hey, it's okay. You already done, but now you have angels, and now you can grow so you can show your angels, hey, it's not what you've been through, it's what you come out of to get through that.
Yeah.
And now we want that now. We want you to be honest, like, hey, yes, we did all that. Yes, we up and down the street selling drugs and having sex with this person, that person, but God still used me, and I'm clean now, I'm saved now, I'm doing it for real.
Right.
So you can do it too. So that, we want understanding now. Like, okay, yeah, we want to see that you, we want to see it, like we want to see that I've been through that. Now here's what you got to do to get out of that.
Right.
You've done that. Now here's what you got to do to get out of that.
That's it.
It's not about shucking and jiving and shouting in church, and that's not it. No, how you walk real life. Because real life things come up too. Like, how can I decipher bills, and how can I keep that my mindset strong on God while I'm trying to figure out the household? How do I do that? Stuff like that. Teach us how to balance house and church and house and God, and under the umbrella. Teach us that. That's what the next generation needs, to show them how to decipher all the things in life, so that we can accurately serve God and effectively serve God. And when we use our gift, we won't be using it out of pain, but we're using it out of joy.
That's right.
Right.
I also want
But Anthony, you're right. We have to be transparent and not be ashamed. If you have, and the key is, if you've been delivered.
Right.
Some folks don't want to tell you their testimony because it really is not a testimony.
Yes. Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. And I also wonder if when they look at some of us at church, some of us young people or different things, do they see themselves in us and they don't want to tell us Hey, I did the
Right.
exact same. Like they're, like that connection. They know, but I'm gonna avoid you because I don't want you to ask me what happened. Even though I did the exact same thing you did, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like help me. And like we come to
Right.
church
Right.
for the help, and just because I think people can misconstrue us as well because a lot of us are good at we put on our clothes, we come in there, we look so sharp, we look so nice, and you assume we good.
Mm-hmm.
I was told you when you go out the house, you don't look like you got beat up or the world is falling apart when
Right.
you go out.
Right.
So y'all
Right.
are the people that's over there looking like they want attention, and then I'm dressed up, and you don't say anything to me, and I'm the one that you were supposed to rescue that day. You're supposed to save me. So now I got to figure out: am I going to continue to go to your church? Am I going to find somewhere else to go? Am I
Right.
going to be able to do anything that can get your attention? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Go change my outfit so you can see me next Sunday and I wear some rags or something? Like, what do you need me to do? Because at this point, I feel like if you're connected to God, then you should be able to talk
Mm-hmm.
to everybody or anybody. And you should be able to feel my whatever is going on in me. You should be able to feel that. It should connect. So I don't understand. Like, are you running from me because you don't want to connect with the fact that we are relatable, or what?
Right. Okay, I would like to say that I'm glad that Sandra Stetman has joined in with us on this evening. And I forgot that there is a time difference in Texas
Oh yeah.
and Georgia. So, and she also forgot, but she's here. She was trying to get in because she came on time, but we got the little time zone mixed up. But she's here, and I want to just bring you into the conversation right now. I know you heard what Jaleesa was saying. You heard some of the things that Minister Gardner was saying. You heard some of the things that Prophet Anthony was saying. So, what are some of the things you want to talk about tonight? I know we're talking about church hurt, and we're talking about the millenniums, and we're talking about the different things that we've gone through, things that can help, and people want to be. I think nowadays, young people want to be more involved in church.
Mm-hmm.
I know coming up, I was just in church because I had to go, but I wasn't really involved in everything because there was other people, other adults or whatever, and they didn't give us too much to be involved in and participate. But nowadays, in order to be in church and interested in church, you want to be involved. So, Sandra, what are some of the things you would like to share with us on tonight?
Um, first and foremost, I'm glad you're a part of the talk show. This is
Do you have an earpiece?
I do.
Okay, put your earpiece on so we can hear you clearly so there won't be any breakups and everything in the conversation. What happened?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I'll just, first of all, I'm glad to be part of the show. It's a very interesting topic that has been on my heart for so long because church hurt is what I have experienced my whole entire life. And I mean, it's just like no matter where I went, I couldn't avoid it. I couldn't get away from it. I've experienced hurt at a very early age. It started at the age of 16 when
When
we came to
Yes, you have to
church.
mute me.
Um, to me, it was basically a cult. To me, it was a cult. And there was a lot of things that we could not do. We couldn't wear makeup. We couldn't wear jewelry. We had to have our blouses buttoned up to here, our skirts all the way down to our toes. And, I'm 16, I'm 15, 16 years old. I don't want to look like that. And the church was basically full of battered women. There was probably only two men in the whole entire church.
Mm.
And so, you know, we were going to this church every Sunday, and I'm like, I don't want to look like that. I don't want to, wear the shirts here and the skirts all the way up to my toes and no makeup. I'm a young girl. I want to dress like a young teenage young lady. And so when I did that, I put on my bamboo earrings. I put on nail polish and my open toe sandal shoes and my skirts that were not distasteful, but they came to my knees or a little bit above. And I was called the church hoe,
Mm.
the harlot,
Wow.
the bad news bear. I mean, I was labeled the slut of the church. And the funny thing is, I was a virgin. I hadn't been with a man, a boy, or anything, but I was labeled the church slut because I wanted to wear, you know, a skirt that didn't go down to my toes. I didn't want to wear the blouse up to here. I wanted to put on earrings and little lip gloss and things like that. And I was severely damaged. That was my reputation.
Mm.
And these people claimed to be praying for me, to love me. And see, I was already bruised. I was already damaged because I had come from a very volatile home. It was very negative, and I was experiencing, my father and my mother were divorcing. So I was looking for that love from the church. And my mother, she was depressed all the time. So she wasn't really there for me. She stayed in her room, the door closed. So I wanted the love from the church. And instead, I got criticized. I got stepped on. I got beaten just because of the clothes I was wearing. And, and they never fully tried to understand me. And they never tried to reach out to me, that young girl. But instead, they killed me. They killed me. And I didn't understand why. And so after we had left that church, I went to another, but I was severely angry at that time, and I was older, and so I acted out, and I felt like, okay, my mother didn't defend me because I was a young girl. I was 15, 16, and my mother, she really didn't defend me in any kind of way. So I built this wall, and so you can't say anything to me. You can't look at me. You can't, and I felt like, why didn't the saints see that and say, this girl is hurt? She's not acting out because she's just a nasty, person that's just, but I was just hurt. And I was needing somebody to embrace me. And I never received that from the church.
Put me back on. Wow. Mute. But that's something, when you were saying that, I was feeling the conversation of what you were saying. A lot of times, the preacher or the lay members that are, I'll say, in leadership, they need to start seeing the person's heart and seeing where they're at before you start condemning and telling them how to dress, what to wear, and all that. Because I grew up like that too. Yes, I did. And, I can remember one time I went in church and I had on a blouse, but it was thin. You could see my arms through it. And I got reprimanded for that. I was like, oh my God. And I just stood in the back of the church crying like a baby. Because I'm like, I just thought it was cute and I wanted to buy it and I wanted to wear it. And I wanted to wear it to church. It was nothing to try to discredit God or me, but it hurt. And I know with some of the things you just said, with what you had to deal with, there's a lot of young people are dealing with those things.
That's right.
And once you get damaged and hurt, you need to heal and want to heal. And the place to heal is coming to church. But a lot of times in church, people get abused in the church.
Yeah.
Abusive words come at you and all those kind of things. You come there with the issue. You want that issue solved. You want that problem solved because you was told that if I go to church, God gonna solve my problems. God gonna help me. He's gonna move this issue out of my life. He's gonna heal the hurt from my past, my mother or my father or whatever I'm dealing with. But you went into the church, and when you got there, you was attacked as soon as you got in there because of your appearance. Young people don't want to have to go through that nowadays. They say, well, I don't have to go to church. If they got so many rules and regulations in the church, and they got so many rules and regulations on my job. They got so many rules and regulations everywhere I go. Where is a place you can go and you could just find God where there is no rules that the people have drawn up? But I'm going by the word of God, God will be the one God will be the one that will touch my heart or condemn my heart with the things that I'm doing wrong. So I don't need you to point it out. But you needed somebody to tell you, I see where you at, baby. I see your heart. So you saw so much of my outer appearance, but you didn't see the inner appearance. You didn't see the inner man. And so the inner man was damaged, and then you damaged me even more by my outer appearance. So I was condemned before I even got a chance to be seen or heard from my heart.
Right. Because you remember me back in the day, remember the that was because I was hurt. I was severely hurt and I needed that motherly love. I needed the affection. I didn't need anyone talking at me because I received that my whole life. Because, like I said, my family was very volatile. They were negative and they criticized. I mean, it was just not a good environment. And so, my whole life, I was talked at and not talked to. So, in my family, they weren't together at all. I have a lot of siblings, but we were not together. So, I reached for the church for family. I reached for the church for that motherly love, and I didn't want any more talking at me. I wanted someone to embrace me, and like I tell people all the time, you know who raised me really? Claire Huxtable. That's who raised me.
All right.
Yes, I was raised by TV moms, and to be loved and nurtured, and that's how I saw how to do things by watching TV. And so when I
Wow.
tried to get that love from the church, it was like I got the opposite. And it just made it even worse. And it was kind of like, okay, well, get over it. Yeah, that happened to you when you were a child, but you're an adult now, get over it. And just sweep it under the rug like it didn't happen. And I did. I tried that, but it only made it worse. It made it just grow and fester into something that, it was just this monster that was growing inside of me that wasn't ever supposed to be there. And it affected me, and it followed me my whole entire life. And it wasn't till up until now, at the age of 41, that I released it.
Mm.
But look at
Wow.
the time I wasted it on being hurt.
And I can speak as a leader also. When we see people come into the church, young and old, but mostly the young people, we feel that young people don't have no problems or don't have no issues. That's what some of us think. But I feel like, and I think about the things that I went through as a young girl or a young person. I said, well, everybody have issues. If you come into this world, you're going to have some issues and you're going to have some problems. So we as leaders have to look at the people when they come into church as if we are a physician.
What is the problem?
And when you walk into a doctor's office, a doctor, when you come in there, he don't assume that you are well. He assumes something is wrong while you're there. He said, what's the problem? What is wrong? What are you dealing with? Where are you pain at? Where are you hurting? We got to start looking at the people when they come into the house of God as to say, the young people, what are your issues? What are going on? What is happening in your life? Maybe they don't want to tell you at the time, but don't keep badgering them and don't come after them as to saying, oh, you're a rough one. I'm gonna have to do you this way. I'm gonna have to talk to you that way. The ones that hurts the most are the ones that have the softest heart, are the ones that love the most and love the hardest. So, but some pastor will look at you and say, oh, this is a rough one right here, so I'm gonna have to treat this one like this. No, treat the people as they come to the house of the Lord as if you are a physician and you trying to solve the problem of what they're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Yes. What, Anthony? I'm muted.
Okay. When you talked about doctor's office, I mean going to the hospital, I was thinking this too. Like what Jalissa was saying, you should be able to see what's going on, or maybe you've been through it, or maybe you see yourself. Like when you go to the hospital,
They ask you what your symptoms are, and you tell them. Then they can say, well, this is wrong with you because of your symptoms, and this is what I can do to heal that. So as a leader, and leaders should say, no, what's your situation? What is your problem? And okay, I've seen this before, so this is how I'm going to heal it. You don't have to, like you say, you don't have to yell and scream, but maybe I have to be soft because I've seen someone that has yelled and screamed, and they was really hurting on the inside. So they were trying to let me know that I'm hurting, but the only way I can express it is by pushing you back, and the only way I can push you back is by saying, "Hey, get from me," or having a certain kind of attitude so that you won't hurt me again. So I'm glad my mom mentioned that, because I know when I go there, I tell them different things happening, and they go say, "Well, this is what I can use. This is what medicine that you should take that can heal that problem." And also, I want to add this too. The reason why is a lot of it's a lot of distractions for us in this generation. We have a
A
lot
lot
on
on
television.
television.
We have a
We have a
lot
lot
going on
going on
outside the
outside the
world.
world.
Like
Like
back
back
Mm-hmm.
when
when
church was every day, it was needed. So we need another church every day so that we can get rid of those distractions and replace it with something good, replace it with something better. Or when we see something off, we can go to church and say, you know what, I'm gonna release it here, and it could be released, and it could be safe to be released, because like my mom saying, we go through a lot, and the pressures that you guys had was great, but ours is greater because the enemy's time is up. So he's gonna put more on us so that he can snatch us back, so that we won't get focused, so that we won't get to fight him. Because God said in the last days, I will raise up a generation. So as he get closer to that generation, he wants to stop us so that we won't. When he gets to that generation, if it be my generation or my niece generation, we won't train them enough to fight against the enemy. See, we
we
need the
need to.
tools to fight against the enemy as well. As yes, we know how to pray. Some of us don't know how to pray. Because we see it in church. Oh Lord, we thank you. No, praying is just like we're talking here. And sometimes when you pray, we need to let them know that, hey, it might not come in the answer that you want to come in, or it might not come in a vocal way. It might not come through someone else. It might come in a different way, like far as like, say, God, I need your help, can you show me what to do? He may show you a light bulb, and that might be what the answer is. But we don't understand that the light bulb is the answer. We're waiting for him to say light bulb in our ear, or someone else say, you know what, you're going to see that light bulb, and God's going to show you that's what you need to do. So that's what we need to get, that kind of stuff. Like, hey, it might not be the actual word light bulb, it might just be a light bulb showing in front of you, or you might have a dream about it, or you might read it in the scriptures and say, oh, this is what God is trying to tell me, I got to do this. So that's what we, need, and that's, I believe, what we're crying out for now, is for more of what you guys had, so that we can see those miracles, that we can see those demons being cast out, we can see blinded eyes open, and all the stories my mom be telling me about the different things she experienced in church. I experienced some of that in her ministry and my grandfather's ministry, but now it's kind of like, it seems like God is not there anymore. It's like it's just missing.
Can I just piggyback on some of the things that
that
were said? First of all, you are absolutely right. It's like going to a doctor's office, but you can take it a step further. The church is the emergency room. It's a place where you go to the hospital. Some people come in, they need to go directly to ICU. Some need to go to emergency. Some can go to a step down, and then some are ready to go to the room, and some are ready to be released. We as the church have to be sensitive to the needs of people when they come in, and not assume by the outer appearance, because that's what got the Pharisees in trouble. They looked at the outer. Jesus looks at the inner. And when he looks at the inside of us, he don't see us with
with
all
all
these
these
different
different
clothes
clothes
on,
on,
because
Right.
I
because I
experienced
experienced
the
the
same
same
thing.
thing
But I
when I
wasn't
wasn't
a
a
young
young
person.
person.
I
Mm-hmm.
was
I was
told,
told,
oh
oh
girl,
girl,
you know
you're
you're
not
not
supposed
supposed
to
to
have
have
on
that
that
skirt with
skirt
that
with that
split on,
split.
and you sitting up in the front and you showing all your legs, little dumb stuff. And they don't know, people don't know what you're bringing in the door. And that's why you got the revolving door in the church. People come in, they get excited, oh, it was hype. We had a good time in the Lord, but you go back out the door and you're still facing the same issues that you brought into the church. And we have to change how we receive people, and especially the young people. And I can't reiterate that enough.
because I've seen it happen. I've seen people, young people who I have really ministered to, who just got fed up and just told me, Minister Gardner, ain't nothing here for me. I don't see myself here. All I see is people, when I get up and say something, you hear people on the sideline murmuring about, well, why is he up there talking? Why did Pastor let him say this? He too young. He can't learn the Bible. Well, God can use anybody, and that's none of your business. And that's what we have to teach the church now. And if we don't do it during this pandemic, if we ain't learned nothing else, it's not about the building.
Right.
It's not about you coming on Facebook,
right,
YouTube, Instagram, spitting, shouting, and hacking. It's about giving the word of God in a practical way that people can apply it to their lives. That's how lives will change.
Yes.
And I know, Sandra, that happens in the church. And I know a young lady who came to a Bible study that I was teaching, who we were talking about salvation. And she actually told me, she said, Minister Gardner, I don't think I'm saved. And I said, well, why do you say that? She said she goes to church, and she said she was told she wasn't saved. And the reason she wasn't saved was because she didn't speak in tongues. And I had to go to the word of God. And this girl left in tears because she had been told that, and she thought that her life was over. We have to make sure that the information that we're putting out there concerning the word of God is the word of God, and not your word, but his word. And that's how we're going to get through to people. You all don't want to hear no fluff. Y'all don't want to hear no fluff. Y'all want to hear the word that will help you to grow, help you to face challenges, help you to deal with the stuff that's out here today, stuff on social media, because, and you should be able to ask questions. I don't care what the question is. I'm always open to answer it. I'm going to be one. I tell Sharita all the time, I am a 100 type of minister, and you bring it to me, I'm going to be 100 with you. And I'm going to be transparent, because we all have a before Christ, and some of us have an after Christ. And our before Christ wasn't all that good. And we have to let people know that it is a process. Nothing happens overnight, but we got to teach, and we got to welcome you guys with love. You can speak the truth in love. You don't have to destroy somebody because you think it's wrong what they're doing, but it's all in the way that you say stuff. You can say anything you want to say to me, but it's the way that it's said to me that's going to matter.
Say that again.
Huh?
I said, say that again.
You can say anything you want to me, but it's in the way that you say it to me.
That's right.
I don't know what it's out of love, or if it's out of spite,
yes,
or if it's out of you trying to tell me that you up here and I'm down here.
Right.
The Bible says, speak the word of God, speak the truth in love. And that's what's missing in the church. And we got to get back, because God is not concerned about buildings. That he's showing us that now. Because buildings are shut down. We're trying to inch our way back in. But he is concerned about people. And we are going to be held accountable for how we treat God's people.
That's true.
We are. We're going to do it. And I just want to add this, then I'm going to be quiet. It's one thing that I learned from Bible study in Pastor Cunningham's class, and it stuck with me. And it's 3 fundamental needs that everybody needs. I don't care how old you are, and especially you young people. You need to feel accepted. You need to feel like you're needed. And you sure enough need to feel like you're being loved. When those needs are met, you can hang in there and you can push on no matter what nobody say. But when you don't have that, you're disconnected, and you feel like, well, why am I here? What am I doing here? Because I know I felt that way, and I'm not a millennial, trust me. But I feel that the church, we're going to have to start doing church different, to draw people, to make them whole again, because God is not only concerned about whether you go to church. He's concerned about your whole person. He's concerned about your inner, your feelings, and what you're dealing with. And that's where the church has. We got to get back to it. We really do.
We really do. We got to bring it in because, like you were saying, about the three things that are needed and accepted, needed, and love. And why is it so hard for people to just love people? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? And Jaleesa, did you have something else to say? And I'm going to see if Sandra have something else to say. But the church needs to show so much love in the church. And it's not about us making the people who we want them to be. Because like we was talking earlier too. we were saying how, yes, I like that one too, and feel safe. Yes. And security. Yes. You want to feel safe in church. Yes. That is so true. And, we want to, as leaders, we want to make people be like us and be little leaders like us. No, they're not going to be like us. When you're preaching the word to the people, when they come into the house of the Lord, you're not training them to be you. You talking to them to love God. You want to show them God. You don't want to show them you. And that's one of the things that I have applied to my life, to try to show people God, not show people me, because the God is in me. But I'm not going to like, you got to do this way, you got to do it that way. No. Like we were saying, with love and kindness have I drawn them. We got to draw people with love and kindness. Speak to the person's heart. Speak to the whole person, not just speak to the spirit man of the person and you lose the soul. Not speak to the spirit man of the person and you lose who the person is because you're trying to transform them to be who you want them to be. No, it's up to God to transform them into who he want them to be. And if you giving them the word of God, that's all you got to give them. Don't try to give them nothing. Don't try to give them what they call this stuff that the books that the pastors and churches have nowadays. They're not the Reformation part of it, but they're bylaws. And the bylaws is basically my rules of the church. And then their bylaws tend to make the people in the church outlaws. Because they don't want no parts of your bylaws and your rules and your regulations, because that's what you want to imply on me. And if I don't go by that, I'm no good and I'm not saved and God don't love me. That's not right. That's not right. So, Jaleesa, some of the things you want to say, share it with us. And then, Sandra, you come in. I'm reading some of the comments, and I'm liking what I'm reading because it looked like the people really are into this conversation. I wish I could pull some of them in and they can talk.
Okay, so I'm going to flip it a tad bit because I want to hold like my generation accountable too, because I know a lot of people my age they'll make excuses for not going to church. Now you're just making up stuff. Okay, you saying what happened and all that kind of, you making it up. Like, all right, yeah, we all go through our processes of healing and different things, but some people just carrying that too long and like, come on, like now you playing because you're using that as an excuse. Like my mom has always told me, if you sit in a church and you're learning and you're going and you're learning the word and you're getting it, then you're held accountable for what you learn. When they tell you this is the behavior you should not be doing and you still go do it, you knew you were wrong. But people are just making excuses. Oh, well, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect is for a trying person. If you're not trying, then don't nobody want to hear you say you're not perfect. Because you just doing your own thing, you don't care. The I'm not perfect is when you're really like, God, I'm trying to do what I'm learning in the church. I'm trying to do the best thing I could do for my children, for the people around me. Mm-hmm. Then you are a person that, no, I'm not perfect. I had made a mistake. But if you're the type of person, you keep going back to the same thing, you're doing the wrong stuff, and then you want to say, well, I've been going through all of this in church, so you're making an excuse now. You're held accountable for whatever you have learned, whatever you have, you're held accountable. So when you get up to heaven, oh, God, I'm not perfect. You think he gonna care? You was sitting in church and they told you what you were supposed to do. They told you he gonna run it back and be like, "Oh, yeah, remember that day you had on that outfit?" They told you what you're supposed to do. You still kept going back to the same thing. So a lot of times, like, I don't care. I would have wanted, because in a lot of ways, the pastors are not the same. So they're not coming to you saying, "Hey, you was at that hotel the other night." They're not telling you. They letting it go. They letting it slide. You're not holding me accountable for what I'm supposed to be doing. My students in my classroom, when I teach them something, I got to give you a test to make sure you're gonna pass it. Because if you don't pass it, then you're not doing anything. You're not trying. So what makes me upset is that I hear the excuses from all the people in my generation. Oh, I'm not perfect, and God's still working with me. Okay, you got to pull it together at some point. Because again, these people dying left and right.
Yes.
Right.
I've lost a friend yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And she's younger than me. So in the same token, y'all walk around like you got all this time and I'm not perfect. It's gonna be what you ride. Okay, well ride it on down where you're supposed to go. Because when you get to church, you know there's a heaven and a hell if you in that particular type of church, and you know how you gonna get there, and you know how you're not gonna get there. So quit all that excuse. Like, I'm sick of all that too. That's my generation. We make excuses for every single thing. I got 10 babies. Okay, and so did the ladies back then. Yes, the men were cheating on them, but we didn't know that because, again, they covered it up.
Yeah.
Okay? What are you talking about? What? So I still want to be the opposite. Just hold our generation accountable, because now y'all just making up excuses, and the I'm not perfect. Kill that. If you ain't trying, we don't care that you're not perfect. Because at this point, you got to try.
Yes, you have to try. Unmute him.
You want to talk?
Yeah, unmute.
Okay. Oh, who wants to talk? I don't know.
Stanley.
Okay, gotcha. I have to unmute you so that way we don't have so much
Yes.
frequency.
Yeah, my thing is also with that. Yes, it happened. Yes, it hurt, but I'm healed. I can't no longer keep going on with that same hurt, carrying it.
That's
Because when
right.
I'm carrying that hurt year after year, decade after decade, using it as an excuse why I can't move forward, I'm only hindering myself. Like the
Right.
word said, ye did run well, but who did hinder you? And when I get up to glory, I can't say, well, God, they did this, they did that. He's only going to ask, well, what did you do? Because you
Right.
know my will. You know what you're supposed to do. I told you. I've shown you what you did. So who did hinder you? Yourself. I hindered you. And I could have so easily, you know, gave up on God with all the hurt and everything that I have experienced and gone through all my entire life. I could have gave up on God. But where else am I going to go? I don't know where else to go if I give up on God. There is no other way. I've tried it. I have backslid several times and said, you know what, I'm done. This is for the birds. This is how they're going to treat me. If this is how they're going to talk to me, I don't want no parts of it. But that's just the people in the church. And you gotta be mindful, because people are hurting too. And like the saying goes, hurt people like to hurt people. And we're all down here striving to get somewhere, trying to be better, you know. So my thing is, now let people be people. As long as I know who I am, as long as God
Yes.
says,
Said,
you
you
know,
know,
telling
telling me
me I'm a
I'm
God and I'm gonna make it. And as long as I have assurance in myself and I have Christ that lives in me, I have to stay focused. I can't be worried about what happened decades ago, and some of those people that done hurt me are dead and gone. So what it look like me still carrying that weight around? Because all that is a weight. You know, I just have to stay focused. And when we stay focused on God, then we can make it. We don't
Absolutely.
we really don't have an excuse this day and age. You know, I mean, time is short. Like Jaleesa said, people are dying left and right. I mean, we have to stay prayed up. We have to keep our babies prayed up. We don't have time or the luxury to be crying in our pity party of what done happened to us years ago or even yesterday, because that was yesterday. Today is a new day. And we just have to go on with God. I mean, that's all that matters right now,
right now.
is
Right.
that
Is that
we are in Christ and He is in us. You know, let people be people. People are going to talk. People are going to hurt us. People are going to mishandle us, abuse us, lie on us. But as long as we know who we are in God, we can go
Go
on.
on.
We
You
can
can
go
make
on. Right,
God
right, right.
God will show up in us. And all the naysayers, all the ones who try to put their miles on us, okay, God will cut them down. We don't have to do nothing but be still and let God fight our battles. You know, I talked to so many people. I was talking to a young lady on my job, the other day, how she hadn't been in church in so long in years, and she's been in church ever since she's been in diapers. And now, because she's been hurt so by the church, she won't dare step in church. And if you get her to talking about church, she will get so riled up to where she just starts cursing because she's that hurt and she's that upset and she doesn't know how to let it go. And I just try to encourage her, you know, you are who God says you are. Don't worry about what the devil has to say about you. You are the woman of God that God created. Move on with Jesus. No man don't have the power to put you nowhere. They don't have a heaven or hell to put you anywhere. So don't worry about what they have to say. Stay focused on Jesus. It wasn't until Peter took his eyes off of God. When he took his eyes off Jesus, that's when he began to sink. But when we stay focused on God and not on people, and that's another thing. I was going to church for the wrong reason. I was going to church for love from the folks. My focus was on the folks, was on the people. And that's why I believe that I was damaged so, because I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I was looking for love in the pastor, the first lady. I was looking for love in the evangelist, the missionaries. And I didn't get that. But I should have been looking for it in the Lord. I would have came out so much better. I would have been further along
alone.
than I
I
am
am.
if I had kept my eyes on Jesus. So,
I mean,
what I have learned now, just to stay focused and keep my eyes on Jesus.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So true. And a lot of time people do get lost in church for coming for those reasons.
Right.
Because whether it's the pastor or the evangelist or whoever, the minister, they are still human too.
That's right.
that's
And
right.
then they have life issues too. And we look at them as to say they're not going through things, but they're going through stuff too. Even when they're preaching to you, they're going through. Even when they're praying, they're going through something. So we all are going through something. But I like the point and the things that you were saying and what Jaleesa was saying is so beautiful because it give in part on different situations that people are going through. And I like when you said you made a decision that you was gonna put that behind you and get over that and stay where you at right now and get what you can get from God right now. Those things that you went through are something that you can tell somebody else to
That'll
say,
help somebody
I've
else,
been
yes.
through this. I was hurt in this way, but look at me now. I'm not that girl no more. I'm not that little girl. The little girl in you done grew up. A lot of times I heard people say, even on Facebook or in different shows, what would Sandra say now to the 8-year-old Sandra, to the 14-year-old Sandra, to the 15-year-old Sandra? What would you tell that Sandra now? What would Jaleesa tell the little Jaleesa at age 8, 13 and age like that? What would Anthony, Minister Anthony, Prophet Anthony tell the little Anthony? Now what he knows now, hey, you don't have to worry about that. You good right now. So I do want to ask that question, and then I'm gonna go to Prophet Anthony because I think he has something to say. I want to ask you that question, Sandra. Then I want to ask Minister Gloria the same question. Come on, we got some we can answer too. Yes.
I actually told, because I felt like I was stuck in a place. I felt like I was stuck in that 16-year-old girl was living inside of me still. And that's why I continue to act out when I felt like, oh, I'm not getting treated this type of way, a way that I feel like I'm supposed to be treated, or I felt like, I'm being looked over, mishandled. Then the 16-year-old came out. Well, I'm gonna do to you what you did to me. I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna get even. The pettiness of it. But I had to tell her, baby, you gotta go. It's not your fault what happened to you. It's not your fault, but you have to go so that I can grow up, so that I can be a woman of God. Because as long as I allow you to lay dormant inside of me, I'm going to stay stagnant, because I'm going to still be crying about what happened to me. I'm going to still be in my pity party. I'm going to be delayed. I'm going to still be acting unseemly. I'm not going to walk in my call. I'm not going to ever have my ministry, because I allowed my past, this 16-year-old girl that was hurt and abused, abandoned, I allow her to speak through me. I allow her to speak for me. So I'll have to tell her, you are loved. You are cared for. You are special. All the things that the enemy tried to make you feel like you were not, try to make you feel like you are less than. I'll tell you, you are more than a conqueror. You are special. You are loved. But you got to go. You got to go so that I can grow.
You waiting on me? I can really identify with Sandra, because I too, coming up, I went to church for the wrong reason. I would go to church for one reason, because I had no choice. But even as a teenager, I am a singer, and I wanted to sing in the choir, but I couldn't sing in the choir unless I joined the church. So I got baptized. I sung in the choir, and but my heart wasn't in it. I still did a whole lot of stuff. After I left the church, I was waiting I was like, could y'all hurry up and get through? Because I got things to do when I leave here. And a lot of times, a lot of the grown-ups saw me do something wrong, but never said anything to me. And my life could have turned out totally different than it is now.
Wow.
Because if I had issues with feeling rejected. I had issues from a little girl, because black people can be so cruel to black people. It was the light versus the dark skinned people. And I would always make to feel bad. Well, you dark. And because my hair was long, I always, well, you wearing a wig. And, I'm just more prettier than you. So that gave me a complex about myself. So when I got called to the ministry, all of these things entered into my psyche. Lord, why'd you call me? I'm this and I'm that. I've done this, I've done that. But once you cannot heal what you're not willing to confront. And when you confront that, that's when the healing can take place in your life. And you can move on and be who God wants you to be. And I know that I know what she was talking about them long skirts and no makeup. And, they called holy rollies. You know about that, Pastor Stewart. I was in the Baptist church, so we could wear makeup and, had on our clothes, or whatever. But when we saw them, we was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find out for yourself about how God loves you, and if you come in rags, God's still gonna love you through them rags. And we have to get to that point. And I thank God now I feel secure in what He has called me to do.
Yes.
I do. Yes. Because I can't allow people to get in my ear, telling me what I can't do. God ain't told you to do that. But you wasn't there when God talked to me. So, it's got to change.
Yes.
And hurt people can't help people.
They can't. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's beautiful, Minister Gardner. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Anthony, you have something you want to say? I see right here that that Zena had mentioned something about even in church we need to have mental health staff there to even help in the ministry. We do. Most people come to church and need therapy. That's what she's saying.
And
And
they
they
don't
That's
know where to
right.
go to get it. Yeah.
and they don't know where to
So
go to
the
get
church
it
provided.
because
Now
they
the
think
church,
every time they come, some issues they have in most churches where well I grew up and different areas around here. I'll say in the time of my growing up, if they had issues, people thought they had demons. It might not even have to be a demon.
Right.
They
right.
just needed therapy. They
Mm-hmm.
needed to
Somebody to
talk
talk to.
something out, somebody to talk to, somebody to help them with what they're dealing with. They could have been dealing with anything that happened in their life, being raped or something like that. I don't need a demon cast out of me. I just need some therapy right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that is needed in the church. Okay, Anthony.
I want to
I want to
add
add
what
what
Sister
Sister
Sandra
Sandra
said
said
about
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 not
how changing it and putting it behind her and saying she's moving on. And I want to add something to what my sister said, Jaleesa, about with the excuses from the church. We need to separate church from relationship. The church is what we do to show what relationship that we have with God, to display or what relationship we have in our secret time with God, in our building up with God on our own, so that when we get to church and we have someone that's sick, they can see what we're doing, what we have done in our secret to bring forth and to everyone to encourage them. Hey, I've been praying, I've been fasting. Yes, I've been going through a lot, but my relationship with God is stronger than the church. My relationship with God is stronger. So when I go outside and there's a demon outside that I have to deal with, I can deal with it. I don't have to bring the demon to church and have to deal with the church because I have the relationship to say, you know what, devil, you're not going to attack me again. Devil, you're not going to do this again. Yes, church is there to show us where scripture to go to when we go home and read it. And also, I want to add this too. A lot of the leaders are just like you said, we are human and people. So they have been damaged. They have been church hurt. So like they say, well, I'm gonna be a leader. I'm gonna do it differently. But then they still got that hurt on the inside. They still got that feistiness on the inside.
inside.
So
So
when
when
they
they
bring
bring
forth
forward
the
the
word,
word,
they
they
curse
curse
someone.
someone.
They coming out fussing and pushing and all that because that hurt is still on the inside. So
So
they
they
have to
have
heal first. And that's what I say, get that relationship with God so that you can heal on the inside. So if God did call you to lead, you can lead and like I said, with joy and not with anger, saying that well, they didn't do it right. So I'm gonna do it my way this time. That's another thing too, I believe. Also, that's what happened in the household. That's the reason why, it's no discipline at the home so that when they get to church, they know how to act, they know how to respect authority, but they don't respect it at home because the parents, the generations before us said, I'm not going to treat my kids that way. They're going to do anything and everything, and I don't care. I'm going to be their friend. I'm going to pet them on the back. And that's why it's a lot of our young people. That's why we're so sensitive because our parents, their parents use this, oh, it's okay, baby. It's all right. It's okay. So saying, no, that was wrong. You shouldn't have did that. I'm going to spank you. Instead of that discipline. So when we go to church and the pastor say, hey, that's not what you're supposed to be doing, we can receive it because we're used to it at home. And so that, and I want to encourage our young people, get the relationship with God so that when you go to church and somebody says something wrong, you have that relationship stronger than the church and you won't leave the church because you know what? You say, God is not this church. God is not that person. That's not a godly person. And then maybe you can hold that a person accountable and say, but God said I'm supposed to love you and you're supposed to love me no matter what I've done. So why are you treating me this way? Like I said last time, show people how to love you. Show people how to treat you. Hey, you stepped on my foot. I don't like the way you stepped on it. It still hurt, but you could have been a little lighter with stepping on it, or you could have stepped on it this way, or you could not step on it at all. That hurt me. That bothered me. And there's a way that we can do it because our generation, we're gonna tell you, hey, you stepped on my foot, and that ain't gonna happen again. And then the generation before us don't know how to receive that because they was taught, don't you talk back to somebody older than you. But now we say, no, you're not gonna do that to me. And I believe that's why, I believe for me, when I was young, I can tell my 8-year-old self, you should have spoke up a little bit more then than now, because now I am, and I feel so much better, and everybody's not going to receive you. And I wish I would have known that younger because I am a prophet. So that's why the enemy placed that on me so that when I speak words, I don't believe in myself because I don't believe people accept me. But now I do. Now I have the point, I have the point where if I give you a word, it's because God gave it to me. I'm giving it to you. If you don't receive it, it's your fault, not mine. I did my job. God told me to do what He told me to do. And I'm going to listen to Him. If you don't receive it, that's on you. But I gave you what God told me to give you. And however you take it, however you eat it, or however you cook it, or however you do it, it's up to you. But I got it off of me. And if I would have known that younger, I think I would have been a lot further. And also, I can't wait anymore for someone to give me a platform. I have to make my platform. I have to make my light shine. Let God, let them see God for me, for myself. And I used to wait on somebody. Well, maybe they'll let me do it, or maybe they see that I have the gift. And no, God said, no, not in this season. You make your platform, because I created you to be different. I didn't create you to fit in. Like Minister Gardner said, we're not supposed to fit in. We're supposed to stand out, so that, we can say, hey, this is how we have it in this generation. It's how God showed us what to do. So I want to encourage my young people, my generation now, and the ones younger. Listen, get the relationship with God. Because back in the day, they had the relationship, so God can tell them. And they also, I'm going to add this, God can tell the leader, hey, speak to that person with a soft voice, because they're hurting and they're going to receive it. Or the other way around, tell that person point blank, this is it, because they know better. So God would train you. Like, the members and church people are like children. If you're a leader, you have, like my mom, she speaks to us differently. She don't speak to all her kids the same way, because we won't receive it in the same way. But she speaks to us differently to reach us. And I believe that's how, in New York, how her church grew, because she spoke to them in the way that God said, this is how you approach them. And she was approachable with anything. A lot of these pastors got entourage, and they say, don't touch me, I'm too deep. So they don't know how to come and say, hey, pastor, I'm hurting this week. Can you, talk to sister so-and-so? You can't talk to me. But you're the leader. Sister so-and-so is not at the place where you should be. I want to come to you, because you're supposed to be the next under God. Sister so-and-so is down here on the totem pole. I believe, because she was in the same club with me. So I got to talk to sister so-and-so. But I want to talk to you, because you're supposed to be at a higher standard. But I have to go through all these protocols to get to you. Do you, like my sister said, do you see me hurting? Do you see me hurting? Do you see me depressed? Do you see me beaten down? Can you encourage me? Can you uplift me? And that's another thing, like I said, our generation, and, we are looking for someone to accept us, like the way the world is going now with the other thing, acceptance. And that's what we need, acceptance and love, and what's in the church also is in the world. See, our generation want acceptance in the church, and then the generation outside the church want acceptance too. So it started in the church, and now it's going out there. So now we got to revamp it and bring it back around and say, here's the relationship. Let God accept you, and then everyone else will accept you.
Beautiful, beautifully said. You unmute me? Okay. Beautifully said. Yes. I know this conversation went by so fast. I can't believe the time right now. Can't believe it. It went by so fast. But I just want to encourage anybody that's listening, the young people that are listening, the young millennials, the young adults, the older people that's saying they don't want to go back to church, even after the pandemic that we went through, and a lot of churches had to shut down, and they're just opening up again, opening the doors, and maybe there are a lot of people that saying they're not going back to church. Maybe they say, wow, this was a good move for me not to go back to church, because I've had so much church hurt. Now I don't have to go back. I can look at it on Facebook and different things like that. But the Bible does says, do not neglect to assemble ourselves together. So you have to get together in a room and just feel the love. And I'm believing that as this conversation is continuing, and we're talking about church hurt, I'm hoping that somebody is listening and they're really taking to heart that I got to get past this hurt. I know Pastor so-and-so and so, or missionary so-and-so and so, or deacon so-and-so and so, or whoever have hurt me. But I got to get past that, because like you were saying, Sister Sandra, that about the weight, it's a weight. And it's so heavy upon you, so you got to lay aside that weight so you can move on in Christ, and so you can grow in Christ and get that relationship with Him. I just want to ask all the preachers and pastors out there to go to your saints. Go to each one of your young members and ask them what are they going through. Ask them what are some of the things that they are dealing with in life. Just talk to them, because they want to talk to you. They want to share it with you. Don't be in a place unapproachable. Be in a place where they can touch and talk to you and share with you some of the things they've went through, and so you will know how to help them. You can't preach a word to somebody if you don't know what they're dealing with. It will not be effective. You can get up there and preach every Sunday, Sunday after Sunday, but if you don't know what the congregation are going through, it's time for us preachers. We have preached to the pews, the people in the pews. Now it's time for us to hear from the people in the pews. And when they start talking to you, if they start telling you some problems that they had with you, you got to deal with it and deal with them. So I'm not going to deal with it. I'm so past that. No, listen to what they have to say, because they need healing. They need some healing to get this relationship and get in contact with God and come to the personal relationship like you feel that you have with God. So we're not above that. So please, if you do anything this year after this pandemic, you go back into your churches, pastors. Let's hear from the people in the pews. Let's hear from our saints of God. Let's hear what they have to say so the church can heal, so we can be not just the churches and the pastor, but we can be a whole church, a whole congregation, where they can see love all around the building, love flowing from one another. And that's what God requires of us. That is one of the greatest commandments. He said, love thy neighbor as thyself. You wouldn't hurt yourself, so don't hurt your neighbor. You wouldn't hurt your self, so don't hurt the person sitting next to you in church. Don't hurt them. Just open up and just show the love, and let's just spread the love around. I enjoyed this conversation tonight. I would like to thank my guest tonight, Minister Gardner, for coming on. I'd like to thank Prophet Anthony, Sister Stedman, and Jaleesa for just coming on, sharing this beautiful conversation, and all my audience that was listening and they was chiming in and saying different things. I enjoyed. I'm reading them right now, and if any of you all want to go on and read the comments, just read it. Go onto my page and read the comments, and you can just converse. If you want to be on the show, please let me know. Just come into go to my email, and you can email me or you can inbox me on Facebook, and we will talk about it and we will see what we can do. But I tell each one of you all that have been hurt through the church, don't hold the hurt. Come on, this pandemic has showed us, if it hadn't showed us nothing else, it has shown us that life can be cut off at any moment.
That's
At
right.
any time. You can lose your life. So you want to be ready. You don't want to hold these issues on the inside of you. If there's somebody that has offended you, go to them. Talk to them. If they don't receive you, at least you've done your part. And 9 times out of 10, most of them might receive you. I pray that they will receive you, and they will say that they're sorry, because you can clear it up in your heart, and you can help them to clear up what they've done to you. Because a lot of times people do things, maybe they don't realize they've done it, and then there are some that know what they're doing. I'm just going to be clear. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, but you go to them and let them know, I know you know what you did, and I'm telling you that you hurt me, you offended me, and just go to them and let's clear the stuff up so we can get back into the house of God, and God's presence can come up in there and it can move in a mighty way.
Yes.
I enjoyed you all. Did you all enjoy coming on, sharing with us today?
Oh, yeah.
I hope I can get you all back once again. And I want to say this again. Anybody else want to come on and continue the conversation, just inbox me and let me know, because we need to get this together, because the church doors are coming open and we want people to come in. We want those that never even walked into the house of God to come to church, because some people ain't coming because their mom and daddy came home and telling them, and cousin auntie, I don't like that church. These people did this and they did that. So they said, well, I ain't going to church either, because I knew church folk were like that. But we want to change that conversation. We want the conversation to be, man, those people are some loving people. I'm going to come to this church. I tell you, these people love you, and that's the kind of thing that we want to put out. You know how Jesus, when he walked this earth, Every time he healed the sick, raised the dead, the fame went before him of what he did.
Right.
And that's how we want our churches to start being. The fame of it to go before us, even before somebody come into the house of God. Truly, I enjoyed the conversation tonight, and I hope that you all can join us again in the conversation and come on and listen. I tell you tonight, I thank you and I bless you, and I thank God for the love of God that is in your heart, that you thought it not robbery to come on to the Tammy Talk Show and share in with this conversation. Until next time, I love you guys.
Love it.
Heaven smile upon you, and I see
All right.
you all next time. And we will continue to talk. I love you guys.
Love you.
See you. God bless.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.